Hi everyone, I'm Christy. I'm the Training Manager at ACFA.
Hi, I'm Glenn. I'm the RTO team leader and trainer from ACFA.
We're here today to answer some frequently asked questions that we've received here at the office and out on the road with our trainers. So firstly, I'll just go over who we are. So Australian Cabinet and Furniture Association, we'll cut that short, also known as ACFA. We are an industry association supporting our members in cabinet making and furniture. And also we're a registered training organisation delivering predominantly apprenticeship training in cabinet making. Let's go through the actual training process for a student. So what does a training visit look like with an ACFA trainer and assessor?
So we work one-on-one with apprentices within the workplace. So we come to you. There's no need to leave the premises. We run through theory and practical based projects and also assessments that will require to be completed, and that is done also in between our visits as well. So in that between that 6 and 8 weeks, we have 3 hours per week that's required to be set aside for the apprentice, and that's when they have their time to hop onto their online learning.
What does the online learning system look like? What do the students do?
Yeah, so it's broken down into different modules. So they'll work through, some of it includes literally just theory-based questions. Others include some practical, which they will then need to do some videos, either with their trainer or their direct workplace supervisor, and they upload those directly into their portal.
So in between visits, what is required of a supervisor?
Yep, so the supervisor will oversee and ensure that the apprentice gets their 3 hours per week. They'll also guide them through with any questions that they may have while they're working through their online questions and practical. Any projects that trainers give to the apprentice, they oversee that as well. And they also fill in logbooks throughout that 8-week period. So the supervisor will also sign off on those to say that that was completed by the apprentice each week.
You mentioned projects. What kind of projects do the apprentices get to work on as a cabinet making apprentice?
Yeah, so there's, depending on the workplace that we go into and where the apprentice is at, there'll be building of cabinets, there'll be little bedside project cabinets, entertainment units, coffee tables. We also do, as final projects, options of kitchen fit outs, laundry fit outs, vanities. There's quite a variety of stuff, and as we're flexible with the workplace that we go into.
So the student would get to choose what their final project is?
Yeah, so we liaise with both the student and the supervisor, and between the three of us we would come up with what would work best for that student and that workplace.
In between visits, what support can a trainer provide the apprentice while they're not with them?
Yep, so we don't need to be face-to-face in front of somebody to give them support. We can either do Zoom or Teams meeting visits with them online. We can do phone calls, we can assist them through text messages, and also have another trainer come in as an in-between visit as well, or the actual trainer can come in instead of on a 6 to 8 week basis, may come in every 3 to 4 weeks to assist.
Tell us about our current group of trainers and assessors here at ACFA.
Yeah, so all trainers are industry qualified and have had numerous years within the trade. We cover pretty much from Tweed Heads all the way down to Albury, out to Orange, to Bathurst. We have pretty much all areas covered where we can service apprentices all the way across New South Wales. How does a business sign up an apprentice?
So once you have recruited and employed your apprentice, you have 28 days to sign them into a training contract. So what that means is you would contact your local apprenticeship network provider, also known as an ANP or an ASIN. They would come out and sign your apprentice up into their training contract. That will then come back to ACFA. We would review that training contract and send that back to approve. And then you would receive an email welcoming you to ACFA, and that moves you on to the enrolment process. So a few examples of some ANPs are MEGT, Chambers Apprenticeship Support Australia, Verto and Serena Russo.
Christy, what does the enrolment process look like for both the employer and also the apprentice?
Our student liaison officer will contact the employer and the student to confirm a time for the session. All our enrolment sessions are conducted online through Zoom or Microsoft Teams. They will organise all that through prior to the day. The session does go for about 3 to 4 hours, and that depends on the student's capabilities and their LLN levels. So basically in that session, the supervisor is required to be in attendance for about half an hour. That is just to go through their employer obligations and just go through what they're required to do to support their apprentice throughout their apprenticeship contract. Once the employer leaves, basically the student goes through all of their enrolment documentation, all of their paperwork, and just make sure that we've got everything ready, and our student liaison officer just supports them through that process. They also go through a literacy and numeracy assessment, and that is just for our own perspective to see where the student is up to in their LLN levels, and then we can identify whether they need extra support or additional time and things like that.
Okay. Christy, how much would it cost for both the employer and the apprentice for them to undertake their apprenticeship?
Yep, so in New South Wales at the moment it is fee-free training through the New South Wales Government and Smart and Skilled funding. In Victoria and ACT and Brisbane, Queensland, we offer a fee-for-service option. So Glenn, how often does a trainer come to visit the apprentice in their workplace?
So generally it would be every 6 to 8 weeks. It would be pre-booked in from the trainer so that both the workplace and the apprentice knows a date prior. Mm-hmm. If an apprentice does need additional support, we can come a little bit more often. It may be on a 3 to 4 week basis.
So how much time does an apprentice need to allocate for their training?
We ask that they are released for a minimum 3 hours from their work duties on a weekly basis, and that would be enough time for them to complete all studies that we give them.
And can the employer or supervisor choose that time allocation?
Yeah, so it's all flexible. So that can be done in a full 3 hour block. It can be done in one 1 hour block over 3 days, 2 1.5 hour blocks. It also includes their practical side of things as well, for any projects that we may get them to work on, or any additional evidence that we need for them to do.
So what does workplace training entail for a supervisor?
So the supervisor will oversee the apprentice for their general week, but for ACFA, we ask that they are involved and know what they need to complete for their 3 hours each week. Allow and have that set out time for their 3 hours every week, and there's logbooks that they have to complete on a weekly basis to show what the apprentice has actually done for that week that the supervisor signs off on. How long does a student have to complete their apprenticeship?
So generally our training, it's structured for a 3-year training course. The apprenticeship contract is usually 4 years. In that instance, there are cases that it may be reduced if they had credit transfers or if they've had extra workplace training prior to coming to us. But generally 3 years training and a 4-year training contract. Okay. The employer does then have the option to complete them early. It's competency-based training. They have the option to complete them early after the 3 years once they've gotten their training completion certificate from us, or they have the option to continue them for their full 4 years.
Okay. Does a student need to be employed to start their apprenticeship training?
Yes, they do need to be employed. They would need to be in a formal apprenticeship contract, so they would have had to be signed up by an apprenticeship network provider and then approved by State Training Services New South Wales or the relevant state authority.
So if an apprentice leaves their current employer, can they continue their training with a new employer?
Yes, definitely. They can change employers, so they would just withdraw with their current previous employer, and then they can commence with their new employer. If they have credit transfers, they would be applied. And then they would probably as well have a reduced apprenticeship contract time as well, depending on how long they were with the previous employer.
Do you have to be a member to have an apprentice through ACFA?
No, so you don't have to be a member to use our training services. However, it would only be a benefit to you as a business owner. We help with the employment contract. Our HR team can help with wages and advice, and they can also help with things like performance management, termination, and even give you a whole heap of templates and resources for your business. Thanks for your interest in ACFA's workplace-based training. We offer a nationally recognised qualification in Certificate III in cabinet making. We offer rolling intakes. We take enrolments all year round.
We come to you one-on-one training in your workplace with qualified trainers.
Please contact us now if you have any questions.